So from the dating aspect, it's finding out a little bit about them by asking questions, getting them to solicit questions from you, and then trying to see if there's something there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can have a relational transaction on email, text, or phone calls that just peters out, and sometimes it's like, we got to do something now. So it's really all different.
Yeah.
And
welcome to Agent Success Podcast. If you're a real estate agent looking to succeed in today's crazy market, well, you're in the right place. Each week, we talk with successful real estate agents willing to share their expert insights, trade secrets, and mindset that help them to succeed. There's no fluff, just straight to the point content that prioritizes one thing above all, your success. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase.
Welcome to another episode of Cut to the Chase, agentsuccesspodcast.com, where we obviously talk to the best and the brightest in the industry. Today we have one of those. Mr. Charles D'Alessio, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you. Well, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice sunshiny day out. Good day to be out, have your windows down, and drive around, right?
It's a gorgeous day. I mean, Colorado Springs is a great place to live.
Yeah.
And, I'm always in awe of it.
Yeah. How long have you been here?
Since 1978, December 1978.
December 78. So what you and your family moved here?
Military, like many of us, right?
What branch?
Army.
Okay. So did you spend most of your childhood down south end of town by Carson, or?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, oddly enough, I live in the Broadmoor next door to my parents, where I kind of grew up. So it's
okay,
cool.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So that whole general area of town, that's kind of your hood, so to speak, right? Your stomping grounds.
Kind of like southwest, downtown. I kind of like that. Of course, we have cars now, so we can drive up north and
cars
see
are fantastic. Yeah. The highway's fast and cars are fast.
It is. It's true.
So, hey, I want to jump in and ask a few questions. We try to focus, obviously, on real estate, but we like to get kind of behind how people succeed, right? Not just, oh, hey, good, you closed a ton of transactions last year. That's nice, get you a little gold star or something, make you feel good. But we want to know, how do we get to that, right? How do we accomplish that? So to start off, I want to ask a couple quick questions involving with how you got into real estate and kind of how your path. So do you mind kind of giving us a quick rundown of how that looks?
Yeah, sure. I've had a lot of experience with different jobs. I was in the restaurant business for about 19 years and ended my career kind of building and developing mall food courts across the country, and it was really a great job. My father got ill in I think 1999 or 1998, and I came back home to take care of him. Luckily, he's doing great and still around.
Oh, nice.
Which is wonderful. But I had a bad real estate transaction. I had sold a house that I had fixed up, and we went to closing, and then we're supposed to close on the other house. And let me tell you, nothing is worse on closing day than your wife bawling her eyes out that we're not going to get the house that we were supposed to buy.
That could make for a very uncomfortable and not good situation.
Yeah, and so I'm a take charge kind of guy, and even though I had a great job, I said I'm going to get my real estate license just to have the knowledge, not thinking that I would ever be a realtor, going around showing homes and doing open houses and things like that. And so my first year working part-time in 2003 to 2004, I made over $100,000, and that's when
you're like, hold on a second.
Yeah, exactly. And so I picked the biggest corner office. I hired an assistant, and I would fly into town, and she'd say, "Hey, you got these showings," and we took a listing, and you got this listing appointment.
So, so you were living elsewhere?
No, I was living here, but I was doing quite a bit of traveling.
Because you're doing the food court thing.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So I'd be in Detroit or Texas or California, Arizona, so stuff like that.
And you would come in once a week or whatever the case may be, and set up your showings and your meetings, and
that's exactly right.
Wow. That'd be stressful, but at the same time, if you're building for that next level, you do what you got to do. Like there's the saying that we always follow is, it takes what it takes. We don't know exactly how many calls. We know that, of course, there's percentages. We don't know how many meetings. We don't know how many house showings, but we know it takes what it takes. I want to close 15 deals this year. Great. What does it take? It takes everything it takes to get to 15 deals.
I think a lot of people focus on the outcome part.
Yeah.
And there's the 99 steps before that make it happen. And so I was really lucky because I grew up in this town. So my growth was very organic. I would just say, hey, I'm getting my real estate license, not trying to get business, just as we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And next thing I knew, people were calling me and saying, hey, my sister's thinking about buying a house, or my friend at work is thinking about selling their house. Would you help them? And I'm like, sure.
Well, I think a lot of that comes down to, as we were kind of saying beforehand, we were talking about, ages of people when they succeed and such. But you had mentioned something a little bit ago about the desperation of a salesperson, and then as you get older and mature, that desperation is not there, to where it's like, I'm here to help you. It's a little more genuine, as opposed to, please, let's go buy a house.
Sure.
I really need this.
Well, I think part of it is our industry is wrought with people that want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because when you have a lot of money, you can also help a lot of people too. But it's real easy to get a real estate license. I oftentimes joke that if you go get a 3-pack of Cracker Jacks at the store, the middle box has a real estate license as the prize.
Congratulations. No education necessary. Here you go.
And although I'm really proud of being a realtor and just all that we have done and how I got here, the entry is pretty
easy.
Low. Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So,
well, especially considering the potential reward doing it right, that barrier to entry is very low.
100%.
Yeah.
So as oftentimes in anything that you start new, you're very anxious to get a sale, get a customer, get things moving along, because it's a tell to how you're going to do.
Yeah.
And we sometimes take our emotions and put it to the outcome. And if we don't get the outcome we want, then we're kind of sad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
But I think what really helped me is the restaurant business. If you follow the recipe, you get a cake every time.
Yeah.
Right?
If you put a certain amount of eggs and flour and you cook it for a certain amount of time, and
that's 100% right.
That's how it
works. It's 5 ingredients, and the first time you make a cake, it doesn't look so great, but it still tastes good. Yeah. But by the time you make it,
tastes like a chocolate cake.
That's right. But by the 10th time, you start getting really good at it, and then from there you can start putting your own DNA on your business. But sales is sales, and you can kind of sense when somebody has got that commission breath, or they're really desperate to get a sale. And you can also tell when somebody really cares about you in the transaction, and then tries to make that relationship, after the fact.
Yeah. Do you have you ever found yourself? And this is, you told me no questions are off the table, so I'm just going to ask random questions. Okay. Have you ever found yourself at any point in your career? Because I know I have at different points in my career. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you presented yourself as a desperate salesperson?
I'm sure I have.
Okay.
And it wasn't so much that I needed to make the money.
Yeah.
I had a pretty successful career, and I had savings and good credit and things like that. I think there are times when we are misguided by awards, by what our peers think, being in a magazine, being number one, doing these things. And I think this is a very normal evolution that a lot of salespeople go through.
Yeah.
But the other part is, whenever I was selling a house to somebody, I always felt like I was buying the house with them.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be my room.
Yeah.
Because as you get
to envision this.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you get to know your clients, they have a sense of you right away. I am sure that there have been clients that I've had that just were turned off by me.
Yeah.
Just like there's certain clients that I just don't work with because I know I'm not going to be able to make them happy or satisfy them, or I just won't be able to relate to them at the very basic level, which is super important in sales, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a few bad eggs out there. You don't want to have to. Yeah.
There's bad doctors, there's bad mechanics,
Yeah.
but there's also great doctors and great mechanics, and I think realtors are the same.
Yeah, I hopefully you find one on the first go. But sometimes you don't appreciate it on the first go, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You get that good realtor, and the situation was very good, but you're like, okay. And then you have a bad realtor, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I had it pretty good over there for a little while.
Well, it really depends. I mean, I've had customers that didn't like me, and they terminated their relationship with me only for them to come back around and saying, actually, you were really good.
Yeah.
And I've also worked with some really not so great agents, but on balance, most agents are pretty good.
Yeah.
And I love the agents in this town, and I love real estate, and I think that our little community is pretty awesome what we do.
Yeah. And Colorado Springs is a lot different for people, if you're listening and you're not in Colorado Springs, it's different. We got 1 million people here or thereabouts, but we know each other. Like I went to the car wash the other day, a random car wash.
Sure.
And the dude says, oh, hey, I saw your son the other day. I've talked to this guy like twice ever, right? And I'm like, oh, cool. I go to the grocery store and, oh, hey man, how you doing? It's
the biggest small town, I say.
Exactly. It's almost amazing that you can do that. Just bump into people all over, especially when you're in sales and when you are communicating with people constantly. You develop a lot of relationships, but that is highly important to the success of real estate agents. Of don't just ignore that. That relationship is important. It could lead to a lot. Saying hi to somebody in a grocery store. Hey, how's the family? How you doing? And then that's a connection. Like they say, you have to have so many real estate conversations a day, right?
True.
Whatever that is, or meaningful conversations.
It's 10, by the way. But go on.
Well, that's good to know. So you have that number, but it's if you are just like, oh man, I don't want to talk to them. It doesn't work. Right? You have to.
They feel it.
Yeah, you have to.
Well,
I think
I know you're interviewing me, but I have a question for you. I mean,
do it.
In your industry, you're not out in the field as much as, say, a realtor
Correct.
is. So I think relationship building is even a bigger hill to climb for lenders. Don't you agree?
It is. It's very difficult. We have a lot. The pool is shallower, I should say, because we are working. Generally, we are targeting a CPA, a financial planner, a divorce attorney, a bankruptcy attorney, or a realtor, right?
Smart.
And everybody's heard me say this a lot of times, but you ask yourself the question, who knows about my business before me? If I go out and I shotgun, who wants to buy a house? Well, then I'm actually competing with like 5,000 realtors in town.
Sure.
Whereas if I narrow that down and say, well, they know about the client, they've already shotgunned to their sphere, right? To their.
Let's hope.
Hopefully they've had those 10 conversations today, right? But so they've reached out to their sphere, and now I then can reach out to them. But at the same time, I don't have as many widespread conversations as they would have. Because how many conversations do you have to have as a realtor to actually get somebody wanting to go see a house? I mean, that has to be a lot of conversations.
I think it depends. If you get just a cold lead on your website or from your website, it's at least 6 to 8 times just to try to get them.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you do get them, then the real key is to not vomit all over them by trying to close them in one conversation.
Let me tell you everything I know. Blah, blah, blah,
exactly right. Exactly right. It's kind of like dating, right? You show up for the date and you knock on the door. She doesn't open the door with no clothes on and say, "Let's get married." You go on a series of dates. You get to know each other.
Unless it's on, I think there's some reality shows that may actually happen. I'm not sure.
I'm not going on those shows. But so from the dating aspect, it's finding out a little bit about them by asking questions, getting them to solicit questions from you, and then trying to see if there's something there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can have a relational transaction on email, text, or phone calls that just peters out, and sometimes it's like, we got to do something now. So it's really all different. Yeah. And you just have to be
personally
aware of
don't.
that.
And this is so. I got a real estate license in like 2000.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in like 2000, and then it took me about a good 6 months to a year to realize, because I started doing mortgages within about 4 months, 4 months of getting my real estate license. I had an opportunity to do some mortgages. Okay, great. So it took me, 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, to realize I'm not a super good real estate agent, but I'm pretty good at mortgages.
Okay.
Like I can, it's kind of my jam. Like I can do that. Yeah. But in the real estate world, I was having a hard time. Like I was trained in sales, and I took sales very, very serious. When I went to all the Tony Robbins things, and I went to you know what I mean, like all this stuff in the like late 90s and early 2000s. I did all that stuff, and I really felt like with the right opportunity, I could succeed at any sales that I wanted to do. Right.
Well, and lending is a form of sales.
It absolutely is, but it's a slightly different thing. And I was talking to some people about this. Oh, geez, I guess it was earlier today or yesterday. I can't recall. It's been a long morning. But talking about like the emotional side of real estate is where I struggled, because you have to connect so much with that individual, and it's not just on the the finance side where I can say, I learn about your goals, I learn about your family, all the stuff I'm supposed to do. But at the end of the day, I have, a select group of products to choose from, and how I design those products to help meet your life is what I'm after.
Sure.
You guys have like 1,300 houses on the market, right? Like, man, I don't know. I don't know what I would do if and it's not like, I mean, we have different products, but they're kind of mirrored the same. You got houses that face west and houses that face east, and some back to open space, and some are
2-story.
Exactly,
by a school, yeah.
So with all of that, that didn't fit me, right? But what did fit me is like, I can design this for you. I can get to know you. I can make that connection, and I can take this product, the same product that 10 other banks have, by the way, but I can present it in a way that fits your family's goals and fits and so that's kind of what I built on.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a numbers person and you're able to be a problem solver from that standpoint, that's super valuable. I mean, listen, realtors don't get through this business by themselves. They have to have a good lender and a good inspector and a good title company. All of those things come together to create, what they do. That's why I named my company Synergy, because synergy is the individual forces that come together and create something bigger than their individual parts. Yeah. And so there's all these different things that happen. So what you do is really important, because once you're over the excitement of the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 3,200 square foot fully finished house, then it's like the numbers. Yeah. And so having that partner be able to explain it to the client, make sure it fits into their budget so that they're not house poor, is really critical. And we do the same thing. It's just a more fun analysis. We get to look at granite countertops in new houses, and you get to look at a bunch of numbers.
And
yes, that's right.
All kinds of stuff. Right. And I'm like, well, the math says this. Yes. And you guys, it's a little bit different. And I think real estate agents, if they understood the amount of conversations that they have to have and the depth of which those conversations have to go, I think that the field, first off, we'd weed out some, but I also think that people would understand quickly, am I willing to do that work? Because that's the one mistake that I think a lot of people, you said the Cracker Jack box, you get on the middle one, you get the real estate license, and you think you're going to come in and do something, but it takes work. It takes going to work every day, and it takes making your calls and doing your follow-ups, and it's
well, you know what
an
it
actual
really
job.
Is? There's 5 pillars to business. If you want to have a successful business, you got to do these 5 things.
Can you tell us these 5 things?
Well, for a fee, I can. No, I'm kidding. You have to have a business plan, and a lot of people are super frustrated with that because they think it's this big long thing. But a business plan is like a living document, like the Constitution. You can amend it and you can adjust it and you can modify it. So you got to have a business plan, and that business plan's got to have your mission, your vision, your beliefs, those kind of things. You have to have a budget. But I would say you need to have 2 budgets. You got to have a home budget, and you have to have a business budget. A lot of realtors will make $88,000 a year in real estate, and they take all of that money and use it in their home, and they don't invest it back into their business. Yeah. So you got to have a business budget, and you got to have a personal budget. You have to have a marketing and advertising strategy. How are you going to tell people about yourself? Yeah. Simply getting a name badge and ordering business cards does not make you a business. You have to go out there and tell people about what it is that you do, and then figure out a way to create some uniqueness for yourself. Marketing and advertising is usually the first thing that's cut when it's a very tough market, like a lot of agents are doing now. They should be doing the exact opposite. The other thing is
like a Warren Buffett type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Buy when people are scared, right?
That's right. You have to have goals. What happens is when we turn 18 and we think because we can drive and use a credit card, we can just not have to set goals anymore. Goals are super important for life. Not just now, but forever. Yeah. Set goals that are achievable, but also set some big, hairy, audacious goals for yourself too. And the last thing that trips up any business person, but especially agents, is time management. If you can have all those 4 things that I mentioned before, they're just words and numbers on paper or on the computer. But if you can't manage your time, you're never going to be able to complete these tasks that are necessary. And time management also includes leverage and bringing in your big vendors, your affiliates, people that are important in your life, to kind of create this board of directors, if you will, that gives you some advice, tells you when you're doing stupid things, or shares with you some of their successes so that you can kind of put it in your business. And so that's the one thing I love to teach about is time management, because it really opens people's eyes about the amount of time that they waste on nothing.
Can you give me an idea? What do you think the biggest way that realtors fail to manage time? Meaning, like, what do they do instead, or what do they not do? Like, what is that, if you could pick one?
Well, I think when you wake up in the morning, you have to have a certain perspective. No matter how tough my day was today, I'm going to wake up tomorrow with a smile on my face. Yep. Because there's nothing I can do about what happened yesterday, even if it was a not so great day. Yeah. But it's really about your attitude. It's about affirmations. It's about telling yourself what you're going to try to accomplish that day, even though the world's going to try to derail you. A lot of agents wake up and they give themselves a title, like, I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. You actually have to do realtor stuff.
Yeah.
And so they end up getting in about 10:30 in the morning and they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And I tell agents all the time, especially new ones, if you wake up about 9:30 and then you turn on the TV and eat 2 bowls of Lucky Charms and you're so tired from that you have to take a nap, probably owning your own business is not for you.
You need to work somewhere.
You probably got to
go
work with somebody who's going to hold you accountable, teach you some things, and then maybe later on you could start your own business.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I say is this, especially if you have a family, is that every day as a realtor, you need to go out there and talk to about 10 people. Make some relationships, make some appointments, try to make those connections, try to get referrals.
Yeah.
And when you do that and you get that appointment, you get that client, you get that agency signed, that's like bringing a loaf of bread home to your family.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you can't come home with that loaf of bread, you better stay on the phone.
Stay out a little longer.
Calling, texting, and emailing people. And dare I say, make videos.
Yeah.
Make little 15-second, 30-second videos and just say, hey, I was thinking about you. You popped into my head. Hope you're doing great. Let me know how you're doing.
Yeah, and you know how easy that is right now with even just an SMS video.
Sure.
Right?
Love it.
A BombBomb, an SMS, whatever platform that you use, that's so easy. And if you make it personal, I think a failure point that I've had in the past is I try to make a generalized, hey, I was thinking about you, and send it out to 30 people, right? Instead, it's like, hey, Charles, I was just thinking about you today. It takes all of like 2 minutes for me to open the app, record it, say it, and if it's sincere, I don't have to practice it, stop it, send it to you, and I'm into this thing like 120 seconds, right?
Well, exactly. And if you remember before cell phones, you would pick up your phone at home and you'd say, I'm going to call somebody. Or you were at the office, you're going to call somebody. And sometimes you weren't ready and you could hang up the phone.
Yep.
Right?
No caller ID.
But then when you got the courage up, you mustered the courage up to make that call to somebody, you picked up the phone and you just did the best you could. And what happened is that over time you got better and better and better at this. Or you didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
But hopefully you got better at it. You got some mentors that say, hey, say it like this and talk a little softer or maybe get to the point or ask people questions. Then you can kind of make it happen. But kind of coming back to the time management failures is that if you don't wake up on fire about your business, if you're not excited, if you have to wake up to an alarm, you probably have to check yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's an interesting point. Man, I despise any time I have to use an alarm. I don't do it very often, a couple times a year, but man, do I hate it. It's like having a boss. You're telling me I got to wake up when?
Yeah.
Like I like to get up and I'll tell you, like last night, I go to bed last night and you say wake up on fire. I go to bed excited to wake up most nights.
Sure.
Where I'm like, I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to do this. And then when I wake up, boom. And the days that I don't do that, it's rare, but it happens, right? I don't do that. It's like I'm walking around like a lost puppy.
Sure, like a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. And it's ridiculous. And then at the end of the day, I call it the proverbial rocking chair. All day I'm occupied, rocking back and forth, but I'm not actually moving forward anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm moving. I feel like I'm busy. Boy, I checked a lot of emails. Oh, I did some paper. I cleaned my desk really good today. Boy, that's clean. That's a clean desk, if nothing else.
Well,
right?
80% of your time should be on dollar productive activities. These are phone calls, emails, getting those letters sent out to those clients that you have, events that you might be doing, open house or something like that. And 20% is the supportive activities. Agents are really good at working on their website for 8 hours and they feel really accomplished, or they decorate their office, or they do stuff that kind of does help their business, but doesn't necessarily help them get customers.
Last night at dinner, I was talking to my wife. I always have random marketing. I can't turn it off. It always happens. Since I was a little kid, it's just let me find something to sell or lawn to mow or you know what I mean. I had a paper out in 5th grade.
That's
and
awesome.
I'd ride my BMX bike, throw my newspapers out. But last night, she's like, and she said this, and I at the time, I felt like she shouldn't have to say this, but she said, just remember to not get distracted and take yourself away from things that build your business and make a living.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you telling me that? Don't you know? Like she's like,
because they can see the nose on your face better than you can.
Exactly. So it is easy as a salesperson to get that, that distracted, rabbit hole, website, email, template, marketing piece.
It happens
farm
every
idea.
day. Listen, when people get their real estate license, they're taught to pass the state and national test.
Yeah.
They're not really taught how to run a business.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're excited about doing it. And I truly believe that, if you took 100 brand new realtors and you gave them 10% of your knowledge, they would kind of start figuring out the rest.
Yeah.
That's the part that's missing in our industry. We have Dora that kind of oversees our licenses and makes sure that they slap our hand every time we make a mistake. And then we have these schools that help us get
Pass the test.
into the school and pass the test. But there's no business acumen in the middle. And that's where a lot of broker owners fail, is that
Interesting.
they don't know what to teach their agents about what to do. And then the other thing, too, is that agents come and go. And you know why? Because they have their own goals and dreams.
Yeah.
Agent joins your company, they stay for 2 to 20 years, and then they go and do their own thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they leave and come back.
Yeah. I see that.
Right?
I see that frequently. Yeah.
But the key is that if I owned a McDonald's, I don't expect every single person in Colorado Springs to eat at that McDonald's.
Yeah.
They're going to go.
Even though it's the best McDonald's.
It might be the fastest.
But it tastes exactly the same as
Exactly.
every other McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think agents inherently want to be successful. I think they're really good people. I think they're people.
Yeah.
They're people pleasers. They want to have a lot of fun, but they just don't have any business acumen.
So do you think it would be, well, this is kind of like dentists. A lot of dentists that get out of part of finishing that up is they take like a business ownership type, how to run it. And there's a lot of successful businesses in the dental field.
Yes.
Right. And you have a lot of financially,
Savvy.
in tune people in the dental world, whereas
That's true.
other even medical practitioners don't necessarily have that. Do you think it would be a wise idea then to say, even from a state level, say we're going to have a 8-hour additional mandated how to run your business and break down numbers. It's these many calls. It's this. It's budgeting. It's understanding that whatever you think the budget is, double it. Because there's no way you're going to get whatever you think your plan is, write it with a pencil, because you're going to be erasing a whole lot of stuff, right? Understand that.
I would say this, that I'm not really into government mandated or government run kind of educational systems. I think we've seen what that's happened.
I think we're pretty clear on what happens there. Yeah.
So here's what I would say is that, unfortunately, the strong will survive. Those that read the books, go to the seminars, start implementing things, putting plans together, putting together a great team, they're going to make it. And Pareto's rule of 80-20 doesn't really apply in real estate. It's really like 90-10. It's really the top 10% that do all the business. And as an example, and not to toot my horn, but I'm in this group called the Peak Producers. It's 100 agents that's chosen from the top 10%.
Oh.
2 years ago, we did 52% of the transactions.
Wow.
Last year, we did 48% of the transactions.
That 10%.
So
that 100 out of the
people did
10%.
half of the deals in town.
Wow.
And there's 5,000 realtors. So what does that tell you?
No, that's amazing.
So
Yeah,
those
what is
that are
math?
willing to learn and earn at the same time, they're the ones that are going to kind of figure it out.
Say 100?
Yeah.
That's like 2%.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not an 80-20, it's 98-2.
Well, I was going to say 95-5, but I don't want to make people sad out there.
98-2. Yeah.
But the other thing that you're seeing is that there's some agents that are younger that are having this meteoric rise because they're using like technology.
Yeah. Yep.
They're putting themselves out there. They're making the right relationships. But they're still kind of successful in spite of themselves.
Yeah.
Because money is not success. You know this, right?
I would hope I would know it by now.
It's all relationships.
Yeah.
It's who you know, how to leverage those people, how those people leverage you, how to really create great things in your community so that you can really accomplish some things in your life.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the true wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's great to have a nice car or live in a nice house and take great vacations. And that's maybe a small sliver of success, but it's really about those relationships.
Well, and I would add one to that, and it'd be health and relationships.
Yeah.
Those two things, because if either of those two fail, then you're going to be pretty miserable. You could have all the wealth, money, financial in the world. If you are very unhealthy and you are have no good relationships, that's going to suck. You can actually get rid of the money and still feel amazing having great health and great relationships. Yeah. So when you look at that of like, can I remove one of these and still feel great?
Sure.
that piece can actually be removed, right?
Yeah, I think that's
I like
true.
it more than I don't like it.
Yeah.
But
Well, what I like about money is that not only can you pay your bills, but you can help other things like the Humane Society or United Way or, whatever.
and you get to choose who you want to help. You're not compelled. Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
You want to donate to your church, to your school, to your whatever nonprofit, to whatever, you know.
That's what money can really do.
Yeah.
In the right hands with the right-minded people, money can really solve a lot of things.
Yeah. Who said it was? I forget. It was a long time ago, but they said if you take all the money in the world, I'm sure you heard this, and you divide it equally amongst every single human in the world, in a short period of time, it's going to end up in the same hands that it started.
Typically, that's true.
Because they understand it, they appreciate the process. And it's not just frivolous spending. I'm going to go buy a name brand T-shirt and a this and a that and everything else.
Well, they've tried that in a small measure in a town just recently. They gave like 125 people $10,500, and instead of
just like a
investing
one-time
it-
lump.
Yep, just
Okay.
no strings attached, just to help families.
Yeah.
And most of them went on like
A
crazy
cruise.
vacations. They got their hair and nails done. They bought some clothes for their kids, which was probably the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Most of them saved about $50 or $100 of it in savings.
Oh my gosh.
So, like I said, money in it's by itself.
So yeah, that's it's in the wrong hands. It's not good.
Yeah, because these people didn't have any education.
Yeah.
So you got to have the mentors, the people in your life to help you manage these monies or ideas that you have about.
Well, and
things.
you look at that from a success in real estate, and you say, I like how you say they didn't have the right education. So poverty is generational, wealth is generational, middle class is typically generational, but it takes a few people to break that trend. So if you're generationally in a certain socioeconomic category, it takes a certain person to break out of that. But now that person has an opportunity and a responsibility to teach their children.
Well,
and
I mean,
to teach their community.
How many stories have you heard of like, I'm the first one to graduate from high school. I'm the first one to graduate from college, right? And they take this mantle of responsibility seriously because they know that they have the opportunity to get to the next level. I mean, my dad was a single kid in a household, super poor, growing up in Goat Hill, Pueblo, which is like basically like a dirt hill. And he went and became a doctor.
Wow.
Right, and helped a lot of people in his life, in and out of the family.
Yeah.
Because he had this big sense of responsibility for getting to this next level.
Yeah. So he was able to break that mold. And I think with the right training, and to bring that back to real estate, you have the right training. So when you get into real estate, you actually have a unique opportunity and unique, just opportunity to say, I'm going to align myself with the right teacher. I'm going to put myself in the right family. Because the right family can teach me, can bring me under their wing and say, this is how we market. This is how we do our phone calls. This is how we handle our transactions. And I think far too often people, I personally think, again, I'm not a practicing realtor. I do mortgages. But I think far too often realtors look at it and they ask one question. The very first question is, what's my split? Right? Like, is it a file fee? Was it? And to me, I'm like, bro, you can get like 99% of one deal, or you can get like 60% of like 50 deals, right?
Well, if you're an agent that's asking about the split, you're probably more of an order taker instead of a go-getter.
Yeah.
Right? And I hate to be that blunt, but this is called cut to the chase, right? So
it is. Let's cut to the chase, yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're not able to understand the dynamics of your business, you're never going to be able to get to the next level.
So let's talk about your business real quick. Is that okay?
Sure.
You had mentioned Synergy. Now, I remember Synergy. You guys were up off of Union 10 years ago, or whatever it was.
Take,
yeah, something like that. And then you had moved. You moved off of Academy, and you were Synergy, and then you joined Berkshire. Is that? Do I have that chain of events?
Yeah,
kind of right.
Pretty much. I mean, in 2016, I moved to a new building. We were the number 2 independent in town, and then I was getting a lot of suitors. Different companies, franchises were coming and talking to me, and the reason why I kind of set on Berkshire Hathaway, which by the way we joined in September of 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a very interesting time. But I realized that.
So you did that in the middle of COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, of course, I always have fear about making these kind of decisions, but my job as the CEO of the company and the broker is to have some vision, right?
Yeah.
Like, where do I see things going? Who do I want to align myself with, right? And to me, a lot of my friends and peers told me that Berkshire Hathaway is a great fit for me.
Yeah.
And I agree with
And we
them.
have a couple branches here in town, right?
Yeah, we do, yeah. And so the reason why I did it is that we were curating specialized marketing, advertising, training for the agents in the office. And I thought, this is really hard, right? You got an agent that wants to close 100 deals. You got an agent that wants to close 6 deals, and you're trying to curate different things. And so I thought, well, what does a franchise do for you? A franchise brings you models and systems. They give you recipes for success. They give you processes and procedures. And what I loved about Berkshire Hathaway is that they had all the marketing templates. They had all of the different sectors that you can be successful in, whether it was property management, residential sales, commercial, land, farm, ranches, whatever. And I also like Warren Buffett. I mean, he's obviously a very successful person.
He's made $1 or $2.
He has, and he's done very well. He's made very few mistakes, and he has 2 rules. He's like, don't lose money. And rule number 2 is refer to rule number 1. Don't lose money. And he's a very humble guy, and I he still lives in this cracker box house in Omaha. It's not like a big palace or anything like that.
I've read about that.
Yeah, because I'm
sure he's upgraded the electrical or something.
I hope so.
Maybe some new carpet.
I hope so. But I've always admired him, and I know my parents did too, and so I just had that idea that I want to align myself with those kind of successful people.
Yeah, and even having that influence in your business can be huge. Like having the right mindset in your business. So you joined. So for clarity, you owned your own company.
Correct.
Right. Now, did you do a franchise? Did you go under a franchise? How did that work?
Yeah. So I'm a franchise affiliate of Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay.
So it's just like buying, any other franchise.
Okay. Like a Subway or Taco Bell or whatever.
The difference is that they paid us to be part of their system.
Oh, you didn't have to write them a $60,000 check to join.
That's correct.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So they take a look at your numbers, they look at your upside, and they say, look, here's $250,000, and let's be partners.
Come aboard.
Together.
Let's be partners. And wow, that is a very unique approach. Yeah. I don't see some other companies doing that.
Well, I wasn't going to pay for something that I already had that was successful.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, if I don't want to join this company or XYZ company, which one would I join, and why would I join it, and why would it be better for my
If I was going to, what would I do?
Yeah.
And did you, and this is for anybody that has thought about this, I've had a conversation a couple days ago with an agent that is looking at franchise and a couple other things. And I guess part of the question I would have with that is it hard to bring your team with you when you make a change like that? Because I know real estate companies change and real estate agents change, right? So when a company does that switch, is it hard to bring all the troops?
Yeah, in any change, there's always going to be breakage. So people are going to make a decision to not go on the journey with you.
Yeah.
They also have their own fears and doubts about what things are going to happen. And undoubtedly, things cost more.
Yeah.
So when they realize their split's going from this to this, they make this calculus, right?
Yeah.
What I would tell you this is that I closely track all of the agents I've ever worked with, and they're not doing as great as they thought they would on their own or somewhere else. And I'm really saddened by that because I do have a heart for coaching and training. Yeah. You can ask anybody, especially my wife, much to her chagrin. I do take those calls, emails, and text messages from my agents.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you coached her on how to do it. Look, honey, I'm going to need you to.
No, she coaches me, let me tell you. Yeah. She keeps me in line. Yeah, so I just am saddened that they can't be as successful as they want to be. But yeah, going back to the transition, it was a hard decision. Yeah, because I didn't have to do it.
Well, you had a great name in town. Everybody knows Synergy, and
they did. Yeah.
That would be a tough call, but you have to look at it from a bigger perspective, right? So when a real estate agent, what do you in your branch? What do you hope to attract with real estate agents? Do you like the newbie? Do you like the highly established? Do you like the person who's been doing it for 40 years but they only do 3 deals a year? Like what is kind of, I know everybody, but kind of what's your ideal?
Well, broadly, I want grown-ups.
Because there's 6 of them. Okay.
I want people that aren't going to come in and destroy my milieu. I have really great staff. Yeah. So I don't want prima donnas coming in, and I don't want people that do 3 deals a year that are screaming and yelling that they didn't get their commission check 7 seconds after the closing. Yeah. Right? So we want grown-ups. We want people that you can have conversations with that are going to help the team, which is the company, get to the next level. So whether it's individual mentoring or coaching or doing a class.
So that could be a new agent. It could be a highly established agent, but it's the more the mentality and the approach to business than it is how long they've been doing this.
I mean, this business is rife with a lot of problems and complaints, and it can be very litigious.
Yeah.
And if you get an agent that closes 72 deals, but 45 of them can get you in court, because let me tell you, the moment they get in trouble, you're in trouble too.
The business is in trouble.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So if you get a court case that comes in for one of your agents, I promise you're going to be named on it as well.
Yeah. I've
So you want to get the right people. That's the real key. And I've never been a subscriber of having 300 or 400 agents.
So, I've heard that as just the recruiting game, right? Where a company it's like a number, a mass number, as opposed to a shallower number, built better.
Yeah.
Right.
I liken myself to a football team. It's 53 players. You want this is what you're going to go into battle with.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got weak links, and sometimes you got superstars, and you're going to do the best that you can.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of brokerages recruit agents, and that's like the end of it. And to me, that's like,
it's like we got them. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like getting under contract. You think, oh, I'm under contract. Well, no, now you got inspection and appraisal, and now you got to do
you got a lot of stuff to happen.
and there's a lot of stuff that happens. And so agent gets recruited to a company, and then what?
Yeah.
Right. And I just never wanted to be that agent or broker that got somebody and then didn't give them attention and didn't answer their emails or didn't bring them in for a one-on-one or something like that. Because I lose a lot of sleep about that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how companies that with a ton of agents have personal relationships with every one of their agents.
That's the one of the coaching things that I've been taught is dig your well deep and not wide.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
And if that can be the case, then now my relationships are a lot stronger. They have a lot more depth, as opposed to really wide, where it eventually just turns into a swamp.
Yeah.
And it can dry out.
Yeah. And let me be clear. I'm not down on companies that want to have 300 or 500 agents.
Yeah.
Good for you. If that's what your
model.
end game and that's your model, good for you. I'm just saying, for me, I want to know my agents' spouses' names and their kids' names, and actually talk to them about the vacation they went on, and actually listen to them and be interested in it instead of
Yeah. So I'm going to ask a little bit more detailed question. We're a little tight on time here, but I have two or three that I want to ask real quick. First one, if you're a loan officer for 1 week, I think you may have saw that on there.
Yeah.
What would you do different than what you see most LOs doing now?
Well, I would do way more attending of events.
Okay. Yeah.
So anybody that knows my wife, Dottie, and I, we go to all kinds of galas, events, fundraisers, things like that. We put ourselves out there and we start pressing the flesh and make relationships, pass information back and forth to each other, and then actually make time to get together after the fact.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing I would tell you to do.
Yeah. So as an LO, get out there more, quit hiding behind your desk and behind the computer screen, which we spend far too many hours on in there doing the pre-quals.
Get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And I'm not saying do everything, but you know,
but make yourself more visible.
Yeah, about 12 events a year.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so you just kind of put a number on that and say, hey, get out and do that. Now, what about for real estate agents? So, if you have a brand new agent that shows up in your office, what's the first things that you have them do?
I have them write their goals down.
These 5 things. You got a business plan, you got a budget, you got marketing. Okay.
And if they complete this exercise, then I know that they're really serious.
Yeah.
Right? They will come back and say, hey, I did my business plan. Let's go over it real quick.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're just meeting and talking about nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Talking about
and although I love
wishes.
people, I love people. But years ago, the Ivy League schools did a study where they had a bunch of people write down their goals, and then they had a bunch of people just verbalize their goals. And they followed these people year after year after year. And the success rate of the people that wrote down their goals and then rewrote their goals and amended their goals, they were 94% successful.
Wow.
You know what the other 6%, you know why they weren't? Because they were dead. But you know the other people that just verbalized their goals, they were only 58% achieving their goals.
Interesting. 58 is probably higher than what I would think it would be as well. But that
well,
is
Ivy League schools, so they already kind of had a hand up. They already had a little bit of an advantage.
They have that boost. They have that training, that mentality,
support,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Support would be a huge part of that. So last question is, if you were a brand new agent, okay? I shouldn't say brand new agent. Let me take that back. If you're you right now, put into a brand new area. So we put you in somewhere. So you mentioned that, hey, you're from Colorado Springs. It's a little easier when you know a lot of people, right? And,
true.
and the more years that
here.
I'm here, the easier it becomes to, get business in different areas.
Yeah.
You're in a brand new area. You've never been there before. You don't know nobody. What is it that you do? What are the first things? Obviously, okay, you have your business plan, you have your budget, okay? What direct actions, like the first couple of direct actions that you do?
I want to tell you a little secret. When you go to a new place, they don't know you. And what I mean by that is that your friends and family typically do not buy or sell real estate with you the first 2 or 3 years because they know you. Because you've tried all these different things in your life. Yeah. So actually, if you were dropped into,
I remember old Charles.
That's right. That's right. This is his 44th business, right? So you go to a new area and you do what I just said. Go to events. Go meet people. You know, I have a little joke. I say, well, why did the robber rob the bank? Because that's where the money is. Go to chamber functions.
Nice. Not going to rob the lemonade stand.
That's
rob
right.
the bank. Yeah.
Don't join 77 BNI groups. Go to chamber events. Go to business events. Go meet people that have money.
Yeah.
And then here's a little secret too. And I probably shouldn't tell all my secrets, but if you're a residential agent, you know who loves to see you is other business people. Go to other businesses. Go to a strip mall and go introduce yourself. Because you may not be a commercial broker or a business broker that sells businesses like I do.
But people work there.
But people work there, and they might want to expand. They might want to buy a house. They might want to sell their business. And now they can either get a referral and or get a customer that wants to buy or sell a property. Because when you walk into a beauty salon place, they're not saying, you're a salesperson, get out of here. They're business people too. And so they're always like, welcome, thank you for coming in. It's a way easier sell than knocking on doors in a neighborhood where you might get shot or the door slammed into you or bit by a dog.
Yeah. I don't like getting shot or bit by dogs.
I know, I hate it.
It really puts a damper on the day.
It's the worst.
I wake up on fire like you said, and then a freaking dog bites me. You know?
So go to find other like-minded business people and talk business with them. Now, if you walk up to them and say, hi, I'm Charles, I'm a realtor, you want to buy a house, that's probably the wrong way to get a date with them, if you will.
Give us the right way. What do you say?
Hey, I'm Charles. Tell me a little bit about your business. Tell me your story.
Interesting.
Because what's the number one topic you know about?
Oh, me.
That's right.
I know far too much about me. Everywhere I go, there I am. It's really...
I know. You can't escape yourself.
Quite inconvenient, so I got to figure out how to deal with it better. Yeah.
Just ask people questions. And, you know, I learned that the hard way. I would go in and do a listing appointment. I would just talk statistics and what I'm going to do and all this kind of stuff. And then I would leave and I'd say, thank you, instead of finding out what the hell they wanted.
Yeah. Who are you? What
it's
do you
about
need?
them.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, man, I really enjoyed having you on here.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We'll have to do this again. Thanks a lot. And again, that is Charles D'Alessio at Berkshire Hathaway Synergy Real Estate here in Colorado Springs. And how do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out?
Well, the easiest way is Facebook. I'm all over Facebook. But if you want to call or text me, it's 719-660-5223. And yes, I will answer your call.
Cool. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
That wraps up another episode of Cut to the Chase. Go to agentsuccesspodcast.com where you can catch us every week.
That wraps up another episode of Agent Success Podcast. Remember, you can find new episodes each week at agentsuccesspodcast.com. We hope you found the insights and best practices shared today truly valuable. And if you did, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, your success is a journey of learning and improvement. So let's keep hustling, thriving, and learning. Until next week, this is Tim Chase.